now?
Yeah, good to go.
Superb. So, yeah, firstly, thank you very much for obviously attending today. Really appreciate you obviously listening to sort of our presentation and finding out more about us as a business at Audit Partnership. So I'm joined by two of my colleagues as well today, who you may see on the call, Lauren Sharp, who works in HR alongside myself, and also Jasmine Handley, who's a placement student currently, who's going to be giving, as part of this presentation, a little bit of her experience thus far into sort of working with Audit Partnership. So the presentation should hopefully last no longer than sort of 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. I'm going to try and cover some of the sort of key details about us, some of the key sort of information about us, but also talk to you about sort of the application process, how that will look, and hints and tips and things along the way. Okay, so in terms of the sort of content, hopefully you can see the content there on the screen. We're going to talk about some of our core values, the opportunities that we offer, and ultimately what we sort of do as a business as well. So just to introduce myself then to start with, my name's James Brown, and I look after the human resources team at Audit Partnership. So I started working at Audit Partnership around sort of 15 years ago, and started as a graduate auditor. So I started actually on the audit side of the business and moved my way across the business, if you like, to head up the human resources or HR side of the team. Okay. So in terms of the next slide then, I've just put up here a little bit about us. Okay. So we were established firstly in 2002. Okay. So we are what's known as sort of an audit business. And we employ around sort of 120, 130 people that we currently have. And what I've got up there is sort of a map in terms of where we're based. So we're very local really to yourselves. We're probably only sort of half an hour's drive away from the university.
James, it's not moved on. Should it have done?
Oh, sorry, I can see it moved on mine. I do beg your pardon.
Right.
I could try doing it like this. I know it's not ideal, but obviously I don't know if you could see that there. Okay.
Yeah.
If I'll flick through it now. So apologies for that, everybody. I've got it up. I don't know if you can see there on the slide now. Obviously, in terms of where we're based, obviously, so about half an hour's drive away. Just as a bit of an indicator as well, we're obviously all at the moment working from home as a business. So in terms of the placement opportunity for this forthcoming year, there may be opportunities much more to obviously work from home, to do that sort of combination potentially in between sort of working from home, but also working at the office environment. That we're based in a place near Topwith, probably like I say about half an hour's drive away, just outside of sort of York region. So the opportunities then that we offer are quite a large sort of placement provider, if you like. So we offer up to sort of 30 audit placements each year. And like I say, we're a sort of an independent audit company. So I'm going to explain, because I think it's quite important really to explain a bit about what that means, because I think there's a lot of opportunities and offer, as I'm sure you're aware. And I think the key thing for me always is understanding a little bit about what we do as a business. So you know almost what you'd be doing on day-to-day basis should you be successful in gaining a placement with us. I think the key thing to start with in that sense is we are different to a statutory firm. So, for example, a statutory firm being somebody like PricewaterhouseCoopers, a big sort of auditing firm or accountancy firm. We do something that I tend to find is very interesting, very rewarding in the sense of you're trying to find where things essentially go wrong. So you're looking through data sets. And if you're the sort of person that likes investigating where things go wrong, looking for errors, looking for problems, then it is that type of work. It's very sort of investigatory and putting together that, if you like, case or a claim off the back of it. So we are what's known as an SME, a small, medium-sized enterprise. And I suppose you probably will have a series of talks and a series of sort of understanding of large companies, and there are lots of fantastic opportunities working for large companies, and obviously it's a big name for your sort of CV. In terms of ourselves, we obviously offer something slightly different. Being sort of a small local business, we want to give you that varied working environment to start with. So we want to try and get you involved in as many areas as possible of the business. We want to try and make it as innovative. Try and make sure that you get as much stuff as possible on your CV, because that to me is really important. You know, the key part of for doing a placement year for me is about getting that CV as packed as possible, about having as many experience as possible, about developing not only your own sort of skills, but also helping a business as well, gaining that graduate opportunity following a sort of successful year in placement. And an example of that obviously being somebody like Tegan, who I mentioned earlier, who is from the university, who effectively did a placement year and has come back to us and continued sort of working throughout that sort of final year at university. So we want to give people the opportunity to make a real difference, to make a contribution, to have a big impact, and become known as well ultimately throughout the organisation, and build those strong relationships and networks throughout a very sort of diverse business. And what we're looking for then, I think I mentioned this right at the start, is somebody that demonstrates our core values. So I'm going to explain what they are in a moment. But ultimately, if you're the sort of person there that likes to investigate details, likes to be the sort of person that sees where things have gone wrong, finds sort of problems within data sets, then it is that type of work. And we say commercial experience, i.e. retail experience. So if you've worked in a supermarket or if you've worked in any sort of retailer, that does lend itself to our type of work. So obviously you have an understanding about how that sort of takes place, some of the mechanics behind that, but it's not essential. Okay, these are things that would help, but by no means does it mean you can't apply or anything like that. Okay, so they're little bits that will help in terms of that application. So in terms of our core values then, and the reason that I mention this is important to our recruitment process. This is important and really underpins the sort of people that we are looking for as part of our business. So we've got a number of sort of core values there, or values that really matter to us as a business. And there are sort of three key ones that I'll go on to sort of highlight up in a second, which are enthusiasm, flexibility, and the willingness to learn. And we feel these are the three sort of core values, if you like, that underpin the people that we are looking for as part of a successful placement program. So we're looking for people that can effectively show enthusiasm, demonstrate enthusiasm, be enthusiastic to our type of work, so it suits them to find those errors, to investigate it. We're looking for somebody that's flexible, so can come in, try different areas of the business. Like I say, because we're an SME, you can get involved with so many different areas. And ultimately that willingness to learn. So effectively having the opportunity to try new areas, to try new things, and to constantly improve and to keep gaining knowledge and learning throughout that sort of placement program as well. So there are, if you like, three core values. I think they're sort of highlighted up there for you. Okay, and the reason that these are important, and because this is obviously the sort of person we're looking for, but we also want to do that right throughout our application process. So we'll come on to, in a few slides time, how to apply for a position at Audit Partnership and Placement. But a key thing that we are looking for, I suppose, is for you to demonstrate these things. And I suppose you can demonstrate these as a bit of a tip to start with, as part of your initial application in the covering letter. So we would ask for a covering letter as part of any application. So we would be saying to people, look, I want you to show how you've demonstrated that you're flexible. So have you worked alongside studying, for example? Have you done a series of different things at the same time, or led a team, or whatever it may be? So if you demonstrate and tailor your application around some of our core values, then that's obviously going to help you in being successful in gaining that step through the process, if you like. So I said I'd come back to what we do as a business, because I think that's really important, and I think it's really important for, if I was in your position, to understand a little bit about what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, because there are a number of roles across a number of different businesses, and you probably don't necessarily, I don't always know exactly what that entails and what I'd be doing and what it means to be doing that particular role. So the example that I've got here is basically data from a retailer. So let's say a supermarket, for example. And what we can see on the right hand side, on the far right hand side, is what's known as the average retail price. So effectively, if we walked into a shop today, then the price in which a particular product is being sold at on average. So we would walk in and on these particular weeks, because it's a week by week data set, the product is being sold at £4, let's say. Okay. And what's happened is, and obviously you see a lot of this, and like myself, you probably take up offers, and you see these offers within any shops, supermarkets, wherever it may be, any sort of retailers, but the price here has been reduced. So it was sort of £4 per item, and then it's gone down to sort of £3 as a selling price. So there's been effectively there a promotion, so fairly standard, something that you'd see. And what's happened is during that promotional period, you've sold a lot more. So the retailer has sold sort of 3-4 times as many as normal. What's happened then on the other side is the supermarket or the shop or whoever this may be as an example, have had to buy more in because they know there's going to be a promotion. They know they're going to be effectively selling more during those weeks. So on a week by week basis, they've had to purchase more from their suppliers effectively. And what's happened then is during some of these weeks, so 2 of the 3 weeks when it's on promotion, is they've managed to get a cheaper sort of purchase cost. So the purchase cost there, because they're buying more, has gone down to £2 in this instance. The middle week, however, has stayed. They bought a big quantity, but the purchase cost has stayed the same at just over sort of £3. And that would be an example there of something to me and something to auditors that doesn't quite look right. Why has it gone down, I suppose, for the other 2 weeks? Why is it effectively being bought for more than it's being sold for? So there's little bits like that that sort of trigger the process of starting to investigate that, in terms of starting to look and build that sort of case or a claim off the back of it. So essentially the type of work that we're doing is that looking at, this is a very small example by the way, but looking at where things go wrong, analysing data sets, analysing trends, and effectively finding errors within those data sets. So what I'm going to do then now is hand over to my colleague Jasmine, who should be on the call hopefully and can hear us, and she's going to run through sort of her experience thus far as being on placement. So she's recently started her placement and some of the things that she's obviously done thus far with Audit Partnership. So I don't know if you're okay to pick up on that, Jasmine.
Yeah. So I'm currently on placement with Audit Partnership, and I've just finished my 2nd year studying business economics. I went to like a fair thing, a bit like this, but obviously it wasn't on Zoom, last October or November time. It was just a little fair with James Brown and another one of his colleagues, and I was quite interested, so I just submitted my CV and a cover letter to them. I had an interview in December, and I think I was told about January time that I'd got it, so it was a nice turnaround. It was also really good because it let me know that I had my placement and I could focus on exams. So what I would say is I'd definitely recommend sending your placement applications in, so then you've just got it out of the way and you can focus on getting your exams done. I started in June, and if you want to go on the next slide, James, that's the one. So the training, it's a buddying system that they use. You partnered up with another graduate usually, and they just sort of take you through the first 5 clients. The first 1 or 2 is where they sort of do it and you like watch over them and take what they're doing, and the 3rd, 4th and 5th account, they sort of watch what you're doing if they do anything different. So then you can kind of know on the 3rd account where you're maybe not as strong, and then on the 4th one you can obviously improve that and get better till about, that takes you to about 4 weeks in. During that, there is a bit of a mix of getting to know your team, group work as well. So when you first come in, you usually with HR, I think it was for about a week or 2. And what it is, you're not 30 placement students together. They split you off into little teams. So I'm with another group of 5, and that's like my sort of placement team. And we sort of work on accounts for the actual training together, through like sharing screens on Zoom and what people have found and stuff like that. And it's a bit of a mix between auditing, so the training, and also just getting to know. So I'm sure a lot of you did a lot of it over lockdown at the beginning, but just like Zoom games, scavenger hunts, quizzes, just getting to know the team a little bit, team building and stuff like that. So that's more of the training. And then after about 4 or 5 weeks, you're sort of confident enough to do it yourself. There's still lots of calls, so I have a call every Monday, even 3 months in now, maybe 4. And we just talk about it, and if there's anything I'm not sure on, we cover it then. The responsibility, it's a lot of confidentiality. The accounts, like, you can't write anything down, so you're responsible to just make sure that information is kept to yourself. No information can be spoke about. And also representing the company. So today, for example, I'm representing audit, so I've got the responsibility of making sure that I'm professional and doing my job right, and doing a good job. The opportunity is obviously the experience itself is an opportunity, because you're at such an advantage to those that haven't. I mentioned earlier that I'm doing business economics, so obviously business is, I'm looking every day at how promotions and where products are located in store and how it can affect sales. But also economics, I look at like small suppliers, bigger suppliers, and their effect on stuff. So there's lots of, like, it sort of goes on to the next point, but application to knowledge and experience, like, it gives you such an opportunity. When I go back now, then it's not just I'm reading out of a textbook and I'm to learn at uni. I've actually got the experience and I'm really familiar with how everything works. Also presenting, last week I took the weekly meeting, so I had to present that to my placement team and my placement manager. So I had to work on my presenting skills, sort of leadership skills, all these opportunities, which I know a lots of university courses, you have to, some of the like exams and stuff is to do with presenting, you do get marked on it. So just working on that, opportunities to work on that, and just meeting new people as well is obviously a big opportunity. There's quite a large team at Audit Partnership, so just meeting new people who you necessarily wouldn't meet outside of work, it's just really nice. It's nice. The academic benefits, obviously, the application of knowledge. I think you're at a massive advantage if you've actually done it every single day for a year, than if you're just learning it a few weeks before the exam, because I'm so comfortable with how price and everything affects everything now. So that's good. Excel skills, I was a bit rubbish before, but a lot of the work is on Excel and stuff like that. So if you are really good at that, you're definitely at an advantage. So I'd definitely write that down on your cover letter or your CV, or when you're applying, I'd definitely note that down, because a lot of the work is on there. Insight into the industry, which is a bit like the application of knowledge, but just so you have a bit more of an idea, examples that you can use on of how you know in your head. So when you're writing your exam, you sort of know what's going on and how sometimes it doesn't always work out like that. And also presentation skills, so presenting a bit like now, and like I said, I took the meeting last week. So all I think you're an advantage if you've done a placement, and if you haven't, I think you stand out. The event, so every Friday we have a Zoom tournament. We are in little audit groups, each with different clients, but on a Friday we sort of mix it up, so it's an opportunity to speak to other people in the business that you don't really get the chance to speak to before. So it's a nice way to sort of like split the day up, get to know new people. It's a bit of fun. There is lots of social events. Obviously with Corona, I haven't been able to attend any, but I know that usually there's Christmas parties, there's golf societies where people go and play golf, fitness clubs. It's quite a social, there's lots of social like networks that we use. We use Yammer, Teams, Zoom, stuff like that, so that we're always interacting with people. There's always something going on, or an opportunity to have a chat with people, which is really nice. It's almost like we've adapted to the environment. Obviously, in an office, when you're going for a cup of coffee, you probably get to chat there. So I think we've done really well at making sure that we're still chatting and it's still a nice environment to work in. So week 1, we just settled in. It was more with HR and my placement team that we just did team bingo. So we had also Desert Island, where you have a list of items, and as a group you have to pick the 3. So just getting to know each other, you can sort of get through people's personalities just through little games like that. So it's really nice. After that, we're training in small teams. So we have a team leader and a grad, which was my buddy. Which I mentioned, the buddying system really. It is really nice because obviously it's really hard to get to know people. Well, I thought it'd be really hard to get to know people because of this, working from home. But you're on Zoom most of the days through the buddying, so you really get close to members of the team. So it's really nice. So you start to feel really comfortable, and obviously if you're more comfortable at work, you're more likely to do a better job. So, and then we just go through the different suppliers and stuff like that, and there's different methods for different ones. So still now I'm coming across stuff that I haven't come across after 3 or 4 months, because they're just so different. There's different ways to go around stuff. Each day is different. It's not the same thing every day. There's big ones, small ones. People do stuff differently. So it's really nice that it's not repetitive, and it's quite independent as well. So you just have a workload and you have a deadline duration, and you just make sure you're planning stuff out, which is also another good use for uni, that now that I'm here and I've got a workload that I know I have to hit, I'm really planning my time well, getting really organised, which I'm sure will benefit me next year when I go back to uni. There's different things to put onto the CV. It's not just I've done a year in industry. I've led weekly meetings. I've spoke to other unis and talked about my experience and presenting skills. There's lots of things that you can put on your CV. It's not just I've done like a placement year. Different skills, and that I don't think you can get elsewhere. There's lots of responsibility that you can put down. The next one I put is it's a friendly office working environment. I just mentioned there that it would have been quite easy from working from home if you just work from home, there's not much contact, but there's always something going on, different platforms used, catch-ups every Monday with my team, every Friday are having tournaments. It's not just you're working from home. So it is a really nice environment to work in, different societies you can get yourself involved in, and the buddying system. So it's really nice, friendly people. Work and social events, I just mentioned, but I haven't really got a chance to do anything outside of work. But I know there is stuff, and hopefully when you guys do your placement years, it's all back to normal, and there'll be lots of Christmas parties to attend and other activities. I'd say the biggest benefits from working at Audit Partnership is the new skills that you get. So the Excel, the analysing, the attention to detail, which is another good thing I would put down if you've got good attention to detail, because that's one of the things I've improved on massively since I've worked here. The supportive team, the flexible working hours, which I think James will go on and speak about in a bit, but just the fact that each day is different and nothing's repetitive, it can be quite easy just to sit at home when you're working from home, because everything's different. Each client, you're doing different things every day. Especially on the bigger ones, there's lots of little bits in one thing, so in one like client, so it's really good. The responsibility and the independence, it's not you come into every day to work and you have to do this, and you're getting told you have the deadline, and then you have the responsibility of hitting it. So you plan your day out, not really been told what to do, and when you have to do it, you just make sure that you've done it, and make sure that you're just checking in every week and hitting the deadlines. But it's a really good place to have a placement. You get lots of skills, and if anyone has any questions, just pop them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them.
Right, thank you very much, Jasmine. In terms of other little bits then, just to sort of finish off with, I suppose, I just want to talk about, just leading on there from what Jasmine mentioned, some of the benefits. And obviously there's a number of benefits that we have as a business, some of which obviously under current circumstances like on-site fitness classes, we've had to sort of put on hold, obviously while we're not in the office. But key ones obviously that are still really prevalent that people seem to really get the most out of is things like flexible working hours and working from home possibilities. So what I mean by that is, just to sort of elaborate, is we have a flexi time system. So we don't have sort of set hours where you have to work 9 till 5 or whatever it may be. We can start as early as 7 in the morning or finish it as late as sort of 7 in the evening, as long as you're working your hours sort of consistently throughout the placement period. It does mean you can build up time as well. So you could do longer days or shorter days and gain up to sort of what's known as additional flexi or flexi days. So you can gain 12 of those a year on top of sort of your annual leave by effectively working over, if you so wish to do so, working over sort of the allocated hours that you have. So it's hopefully quite a massive benefit. It flexes your sort of approach to work-life balance. It flexes the hours that you can work and when you choose to work as well. So hopefully quite a massive benefit that to a lot of people. I think I've talked already, or I've probably covered some of the bits that says, for me, the most important thing about doing a placement is to gain potentially a graduate opportunity. So you've got that opportunity in the future, and a number of our placements, people that do placement years, come back as part of our graduate program, which is really rewarding. I see the placement program, because we don't really do a lot of graduate recruitment anymore. So we see the placement program as that first stepping stone into graduate recruitment and into gaining a successful sort of graduate career with us. Our directors both started on a placement program, hence the value and hence all the sort of resource and everything that we put into ensuring that it's successful both for us and for yourselves. But we want to fill that CV up as much as possible. And we've got things like even like an internal development plan or program down there, which is a program that was designed to not only complement some of the things that you'll be doing at university, but also add some and develop some employability skills, which are bound to be useful, hopefully in any sort of industry that you go into, and not just if you were to come back with us as part of a successful sort of placement. So in terms of next steps then, the application process. So if this is of interest to you, and obviously we can take any questions at the end, we've kept it really straightforward. Obviously working from home has meant, you know, we never really did a lot of sort of assessment centres or anything anyway, but obviously now and this year especially, it's going to be quite a straightforward process that says it's going to be CV and covering letter to start with. So the tip there, especially with that covering letter, is demonstrate our core values. So we're talking about the enthusiasm, how you've done that, how you've got that flexibility, and also willingness to learn. So we're just after a CV and covering letter to start with. And then we're going to do either one or two face-to-face or via Zoom interviews, should I say. So they're not face-to-face in the sense of you come to the office like we used to. We're going to do those via probably a Zoom platform. And then that's it. Then hopefully we can make a decision and you have that successful placement, an offer in front of you. And in terms of getting an advert out, we're going to be doing something very shortly, I'm sure, with the university, and we're going to be looking at a closing date, so deadline for applications of January 2021. So you have got a good couple of months yet. We've not put a really tight deadline on this, and basically it's a case of sending your CV and covering letter to that email address, which will also be on the advert once we get that posted and live. Okay. So little tips again then. So tips for your CV are, when you come to send us your CV through, research the company. So have a look at our website. I think the key thing that you can obviously put today is you've attended this presentation. So that's obviously fantastic. It shows a lot of those core values. It's obviously something that will help set you apart as well from all the competition that is out there at the moment. So say you've done things like that. On your covering letter, like I mentioned, how you've demonstrated our core values, how you've done that sort of through either your academic background or through any work experience that you may have. My advice is Covering letter, keep to probably a maximum of a page, and CV to probably maximum of 2 pages. And little tips below, obviously seem probably common sense, but we do see these kind of things is, choose the email address that you send it from wisely. Obviously, you've got sensible university email addresses, so choose it from a sensible email address. Again, attachment names, and I'd say avoid pictures, but I'm not. That's not a definite. Well, I've seen pictures before. I suppose if you are going to include a picture, again, make sure things are sensible. It's got a sensible attachment name, and things like that. Okay. And I think the key thing throughout your CV and throughout your covering letter is making the most of any experience, making the most of any interests or any groups that you're involved in, any things that you've either taken the lead on or even sort of presentations as well. So try and make the most of that throughout your application, and keep the sensible sort of layout and presentation when you come to do so. So hopefully that should get you through to sort of the interview stage. And again, really key parts here are things like researching the company. We will ask you at the start of the interview what sort of research, what you know about us. So you could speak to, for example, Jasmine. We've also got people with us currently who will be more than happy, I'm sure, to field any questions, and we can obviously get you in contact with those people. Practice the interview, leave plenty of time, so don't be sort of if you're doing it via Zoom, test the Zoom that it works beforehand. Make sure you've got a sensible sort of setup from that point of view. Make sure the background noise and things like that aren't a distraction to you. But again, do all the things that we spoke about during this presentation. Look at us as a business, provide any sort of commercial knowledge that you've got from any experience that you've done. And I think the key point right down at the bottom is there, try not to worry. We want a true and accurate reflection of you doing the interview. I don't want anyone to feel under too much pressure. This isn't we don't want to create an environment. We want to get the best out of you, not only during your placement experience, but also during the interview process. So we do not want anyone to worry at all, okay? We will be asking a series of questions, but we will be doing it in a way that tries to make you feel as comfortable and as engaged as possible throughout. So do not worry whatsoever when it comes to this process or comes to an interview. And I think that is the last slide that we have. Well, that is the last slide that we have. So again, I just want to thank everyone for obviously listening to a bit more about Audit Partnership today, finding out a bit more about these sort of opportunities and offer. And should anyone have any questions, and I can't see if anyone's posted any questions via the chat during this presentation, but if anyone's brave enough or wants to shout out any questions or wants to ask anything at all, then myself and my colleagues are all around to do that now. So thank you.
James, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So does anybody have any questions? You can either pop your hand up using the little hand function on here, or just write them in. So Benjamin's asked, can you take this part in this opportunity if you are a graduate?
Yeah, at the moment, we are not looking at sort of graduate opportunities, because this is a placement typically between sort of the second and third year of an undergraduate programme. So it sort of complements that learning, if you like, that the university are offering. So it's not necessarily a graduate programme, because with a graduate, we'd be looking for more things. We'd be looking to develop people and that permanent position in the business. So it's a placement position. It's not a graduate opportunity per se. We tend to reward successful placement years with graduate opportunities.
You do sometimes have graduate opportunities though, don't you, James? Which will be posted on our LaunchPad online, which you'll send to us to put on there.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that this particular one is a replacement opportunity, but it doesn't mean in the future, and keep an eye out, because we may have graduate opportunities popping up throughout the year. So if that is the case, keep an eye out, and more than happy to have a chat with, I think it was Benjamin at that stage, and talking through, what a graduate opportunity would look like.
Fabulous. Does anybody else have any other questions they'd like to ask? We've got Jasmine and Lauren here as well. So, Jasmine in particular, that's on her placement year. If anybody's got any questions for Jasmine.
No. if anyone does have any questions, or you feel like you want to have a bit of a think, or you want to go away and ask anything, then what I'm going to do is just post it in the chat now down here. I'm going to put an email address that Lauren, who's on the call today, will be able to sort of pick up anything, and obviously can respond to any questions that if you want to send through to this email address. So if I put recruitment to Audit Partnership. So feel free there, if anyone does have any sort of queries or wants to find out a little bit more about us as a business, or wants to get in contact, then that's probably the best sort of route or forum in which to do so.
James, that's fantastic. Thank you to yourself and Lauren and Jasmine for taking part today. What I would say is, for everybody that's here today, I've just had a quick look. The role isn't up on your page on LaunchPad Online, so it isn't up there yet, but I'm sure that will be up soon with all the details and how for the people to apply. What I would say is, if you are interested in Audit Partnership and the role that they have, you can, on LaunchPad Online, you can follow companies so that you'll get information through when they post anything up or anything like that. And you can also set up email alerts. So please do look out for that opportunity going live. And James, if you know when it has gone on there, and I can send an email out as well to all our placement year students.
Thank you, that'd be superb. Yeah, the aim is we're going to try and do that today, to be honest with you, Susan. So hopefully that will go on today, and you should see that probably live by, let's say, tomorrow at the worst case. So we'll try and do that straight after this presentation. So thank you.
Fabulous. So one last call out for any questions. No, okay. Well, if you do have something, pop it in the chat afterwards, because I can pick that up anyway. But again, thank you very much, and thank you for everybody else for coming along today. And hopefully we'll have some good students for you for your 2021 placement year programme.
Definitely, yeah. Thank you very much to everyone again today, and thank you very much to yourself, Suzanne, for hosting. Really appreciate it, and look forward to receiving lots of fantastic applications.